Hello. Okay. Um, Good evening, everyone. So, I'm Akash Agasti, cyber security analyst in data space security. So, as I told you in the previous live, that we will be doing a series, and in the previous live, I have told you that. That was the basic concept about you have seen that the basic concept on how a website works, basically how a user communicates with the server, and how the server communicates with the user agent, and whatever happens behind our eyes. So we have talked in depth on that live. So today what we will be doing is uh, we will be checking the SQL injection, basically. And for that, let me tell you that there are basically three types of SQL injection: um, blind SQL injection, gate SQL injection, and post SQL injection. So for now, at least, we will be going for blind SQL injection, which means you don't have to check any you know you don't have to check that if the website is vulnerable or not vulnerable. Okay. uh, so you don't have to check anything, you will just try to exploit that, and if it happens, that means it was vulnerable, and if it does not happens, then it was not vulnerable. Okay. So let's start. At first, let us check that let us see that what is SQL. SQL is basically the structured query language, which is a computer language for storing, manipulating, and retrieving data stored in a relational database. That means, why do we use the SQL is because it's a query language. The relation between user and a database is a kind of teacher student types. Okay, I mean, this database is the teacher who knows everything, uh, and student are the users. So what students does is they ask some question or some queries to teacher, and then teacher answers the question. So it's like the same, that as an user, I will ask some question, but obviously remember that we will send some query, we will ask some query, but obviously that query should be in structured. I mean, there are some syntaxes, so we will have to follow that syntaxes, and by following those syntaxes, we will query something to the database. Okay, so that's why it is called structured query language, and if the database knows the answer, then it will return with the answers. Okay. So what it is saying? It is saying that SQL is the standard language for relational database system. All the relational database management system, that is RDBMS, like MySQL, MS Access, Oracle, CBase, Infonix, PostgreSQL, SQL Server, and many more. All of them uses this SQL as their standard database language. As a computer, if we want to communicate with computer, then we will have to use programming language, right? So in the same case, that SQL also need to speak with database, we need this language, that is SQL. Okay. Now the point is, it's not like that every code is same. Like, as we are human, we communicate in our language, but there are many languages, right? There are Bengali, there are Hindi, there are English, there are French, there are Tamil, many more languages are there. So in same cases, these all of these RDBMS, like MySQL, MS Access, Oracle, CBase, all of them use SQL, but all the syntaxes are a little bit different, nothing more than that. Okay. So they use SQL, but in some cases the syntax, I mean the syntaxes are nearly about same, but some words, some letters are a little bit different. Okay, but the language is SQL, that is the structured query language. Okay, so now let's go for the next one, that is what is SQL injection. Now we will go for SQL injection, right? Then what is this? Now SQL injection is a technique basically used to exploit user data through web page inputs by injecting SQL commands as statements. Okay, so what it is saying is SQL injection is a technique. It's a technique that basically used to exploit some user data, okay, through web page inputs. I mean, when web page is asking us for some input, then we will do this SQL injection, because if the web server is asking for some input, that means our input will go directly to the database. So if we can use some malicious script or malicious query there, then it should happen that our code could be also, our query could also get executed in database. If that happens, then we can get very uh, mm, secret information, or some those type of information that we should don't know, we should not know that, right? But still I will get that, I mean we does not have that privilege to check those information or see those information or know those information, but still we can do that. Okay, so basically these statements can be used to manipulate the application's web server by malicious users. Okay, so there are 3 points here, like it's a code injection technique that might destroy your database. It could destroy your database, because if my code is going, if my query is going to the database, then we can remove all the tables, all the database, right? We can delete that, right? I have that privilege because this query is going, so we can do whatever we want. And obviously it's the most common web hacking techniques. Okay, I mean whoever goes for web penetration testing, the first thing they learn, the first technique they learn is SQL injection. So it's the most common web hacking techniques. Okay, and it is the placement of malicious code in SQL statement via web page inputs. I mean, as I have told before, that if the web server is asking for some input, then we can give our malicious SQL query or SQL statement, and if it get executed, if it is not getting sanitized and it's directly going to the database, that means it will get executed and it will give us the information that we should not know. Okay, then how we can bypass authentication. Okay, now let's go for the blind one, right? And for in the next live we will go for get and post. Okay, so today we will be going for blind SQL injection, that is basically used to bypass authentication. Okay, so after we confirm that the site is vulnerable to SQL injection, the next step is to type the appropriate payload in the password field to gain access to the account. Okay, so what we will be doing is we will be checking that if it is vulnerable or not. Okay, but in case of bypassing, we cannot check that. Okay, so this is a command actually as you can see that this is not the full command. Okay, actually it is the code that is running behind behind the web page, I mean in the database. Oh, sorry. Okay, and this is the code that is getting executed, this slash, or actually this is the whole code that will be executing, but our payload is this one, just this one. Okay, so it is the whole code or whole statement that will be executing in the database, but these are already running on database. We will just add this one, so then the total code will run. So how it's working, it's saying that since 1 equals to 1 is always true, and we combine 101 with an OR operator like here. Okay, so now we don't have to know username or password, as whatever be the username password, our 1 equals to 1 will always be true, right? Thus giving us access to our control. So these are the explanation basically, that is this colon or 101 minus plus in the password field before or operator is used to terminating basically this quotation before or operator is used to terminating the single quotes of passwords, like here, this one. Okay, it will take our code here na. If I give any password, it will get inside this, but if we use that, then this password field will automatically get completed. Now if it gets completed, then this will be a statement, otherwise all of this will, it will take it as a password, right? But if we do that, then it will be something else. So this password field before this quotation before or operator is used to terminate the single quotes. Okay, single quotes of the password that I have to I gave you, that is select ID from users where username equals username and password equals to password. So if I give any normal password, then it will get inside this, but if I use this the single quote, then what it will do is it will take it as the password is completed, and then we will be doing or and 101 equals to 1 equals to 1, and then whatever. Okay, then all those lines. So then it will think that the left the code that left here is a new code or new statement, that as we are using or statement. So SQL will think that okay, it's a little bit different. Okay, so it will basically think that okay, it's a new line, so let's now let's check it. Okay, so what it is saying, that so that after we insert single quote before or operator, our SQL command becomes select ID from users where username equals to username and password equals to password. This is the two code, so it's completed here, or 1 equals to 1. But the point is, there was one more quotation, we will have to remove that. As we want to ignore that, that's why we are using minus plus. I think it will be in the next line, that minus plus is used to ignore the rest of the command. It's main used to ignore the single quote after the password, and if we won't use that, we will get the following error. I mean, there will be some error. Okay, so now let's try the payload on our login portal without writing minus plus at the end. So we will check it in the practical basically. Okay, and let's go practical. But before going to the practical, okay, at first let's go for the practical. Basically we will go for one Pakistan website, that is so it's one website from Pakistan, and we will go for the admin panel. I think this is the admin login panel. So it's asking for username and password, and if we give some something different and password, and if we try to log in, then it will show that wrong username and password. But if we do the code we have tried, that is let me write it here, that is slash then or, then 1 equals to 1, then minus plus, right? So let's try it. If we go here and use this password here, and as username I am giving the same thing. Okay, and try to log in. So what's happening actually, it's getting logged in. Okay, as it is showing log out, and it is admin panel, it is the inventory, sales history, and everything I want. I can everything the admin has access of, we can get that. Okay, So that is the most interesting thing, and we can make it more clear. Actually, as I know that these technical terms are not that much comfortable with everyone, so we'll try to make it more clear, and we'll try to explain it more simplistic in more simplistic way. So for that, what I will do is I will try to draw a picture. Okay, sorry. Okay, we have got our image, and let's think that this is our user machine. Okay, as we checked in our previous live, so let's think that this is our user machine and this is the server machine. Okay, so now I am sending the code, I mean the username and password. Basically we are sending the username and password to the database. Okay, and through internet. Oops, sorry. Okay, so it is going to the server. Okay, but it's not going to the server directly. Actually there are some validation, right? That is, let's think that it's this. Sorry, it is the validation, it is the validator. Now the point is, what is this? This is the validator. Now the point is that it could be some validation code. Okay, it could be some a total script or a total code or a function. It depends on the basically developer who develops the develops the server, who developed the server. It depends on him that how he will use the validator, I mean how he will put the validator. So let's think that this is the validator. Now the validator has a little bit access of the main server. So let's think that this is the server space. The validator have access of. Okay, so validator has access of this part. Okay. Now the question is, why the validator has this access? Because in this place the actual username and passwords are stored. Okay, in this place the username and passwords are getting stored. Okay, now as the validator will be checking the username and password given by us, okay, given by the user agent, so it will have to check now with something that if it is matching or not. Okay, so what was the query as here, that select id, I mean from users is the table name, where username equals to the username I am giving and the password equals to the password I am giving. So what it will be doing is it will be giving that username and password. It will be checking that if this username and this password is there in exist in the user database, right? And if it exists, then it will get the id of that user, and it will give the access to that user. Now the point is, what validator does is the validator checks that how it is working, and sorry, that if the username is correct or not, if the password is correct or not, or if the if the given username and password or the credentials are matching or not. So if it is matching, then it will be think that okay, it's a true query, and if it does not uh, matches, then it will think that the user is lying. Okay, no query with that, no question here. So now what I will have to do is I will have to fool that user. Okay, I will have to fool that user. So what I will do is I will try to give some true query to it, that this is a true query, please accept that. Okay, so if I give something else that is also a true query, then it will think that okay, it's a true query, then let's give him the access, let's give the user let's give access to the user. Okay, so now what I will do is I will give some true query. So it was there, or it is actually a little bit difficult query, I can make it more easier. That is, let's think that x, okay, let's think that this is x, and then or x equals to x. Now the point is, what is this? What is this? Is it's basically a true query. Okay, it's basically a true query. Okay, that x or x equals to x, it's a true query, right? If you know some a little bit logic it, then you will get that this if the x or x is, I mean, how to say, like either take x or x, if you take any one of them in the right side of some equation, then it will be true. Okay, so if we use this query, as it's a true query, so the validator will think that okay, the user is saying the truth. Then let's try that if it works or not. Let's go for our browser and log out from here. So logged out, and if we give this code here, let's see if it's logging in or not. So it's also logging in here. Okay, so this is the basic concept, that you will have to fool the user, whoever the user is. So you will actually you will have to fool the validator. Okay, so the validator is checking that if the user is giving true answer or not. If he is saying truth or he is lying, if it is matching, then okay, he is saying truth. Okay, and if it does not match, the username and password does not match, then it will think that okay, he is lying, so we will not give the access. Okay, so if we give some true query, then it will think that okay, it is also true. Okay, it is also true, so then let's give access to him. Okay, so what I did is gave this access, this true query, and it thought that okay, this query is also true. Okay, now let's give access. Now the point is that you know only these two, but there are many payloads. Actually, it depends on the structure, that how the code is developed or the validator is working. There could be many ways to bypass this login. Okay, and there are also a cheat sheet in Git repository, so I will try to show that. What I will have to do is, I will have to do just search for auth bypass through SQL injection. And if I search for that, okay, GitHub, I will try. I would like to get the GitHub repository actually, because that is great. We don't need too much query. Hey, sorry. Okay, so this is the base payload. Actually, this is the payload I like too much. Okay, so if I go for intruder, and if we go for exploit, and this is the auth bypass technique, and you will get that there are nearly about 198 payloads here. And if you go for many website, you will get many more payloads, but it works basically. This 198 is enough to bypass the login panel actually. Now what you will have to do is, you will have to give one by one, give these codes one by one to the login panel, and you will have to check that which code is working and which is not. Okay, and it is basically called payload, but actually this is a SQL query, as it is bypassing the system, so we call it as payload. Okay, so you can go to this website, this payload box, I think the name, yeah, payload box. This guy is very cool actually, and this is very useful for you. I mean, it's very useful for me, so I think that it will be very handy for you. It will be very useful for you. Okay, so try all of these one by one and check that how much websites you can crack. You just go for websites that has some login panel, and check that which are working and which are not working, and how many websites you have cracked. Please comment in our in this live stream. We will save this stream in our channel, and you guys please comment that how many websites you have cracked. Okay, you have how many login panels you have bypassed. Okay, and send those links in our comment box. And so if you guys have any question, comment here. Okay, so I will be logging out from here, and if you guys have any type of query, then you can comment comment in our comment box. Okay, or we will log out from here actually. uh, we will stop the live streaming today because it was a very short topic, and next day we will be learning gate method. I mean, how to bypass how to do gate SQL injection. It's basically when this is not working. Actually, when this blind SQL injection is not working, then what we can do is we can go directly get inside the server or directly get inside the website, inside the database, and we can extract or we can dump, sorry, basically we can dump the website, or dump the datas inside the database, from the database, and we can use those. Okay, so that is more useful for us, because as the blind one is not working, so we will go for database, and we will dump the username and password we need, and then we will log in using that username and password. Okay, then we will log in as some another user. Okay, so thank you so much. We will meet in the next live. Okay.